So on this week's show, how you can make money from property, starting with nothing through rent to rent and deal packaging.
We're going to be introducing you to a couple who sold 43 deals last year through their deal packaging company.
And in the news, Premier Inn are launching a new pod-style hotel with rooms from £19 a night.
And we're going to be discussing why the young generation are just not that interested in buying property.
So I'm Russell Leeds, CEO of Property Investors with Samuel Leeds, training company, also run a letting agency. And I've been a property investor now for over 10 years.
My name's Alasdair Cunningham, I'm a director of Better Source Limited and I'm a property investor.
So what have you been up to this week now, Alasdair?
So this week has been a very hectic week. I've had several deals that I've got ready for my deal packaging business, which we've sold. I've also had my...
How many deals have you sold this week?
So far we're on 4 deals. We've got 5 available. So far 4 are sold. I think it's pretty cool.
So what sort of deals have you been selling?
So the ones today, there was one little 4-bed multi-let, which was cool, and there was a portfolio sale, which was a lease option agreement.
I saw that. I was jealous of that deal.
It's good, wasn't it?
You should have brought the deal straight to me.
Nah, you're not getting You're not getting priority, man.
That looked really good. So it's basically four lease options.
Yeah, so it was a tired landlord up in the northeast. Properties are in negative equity, and he just literally he's had enough of it. He wants to get out. He wants to focus on his bigger deals that he's doing. And the only way out for him was a rent to rent or a lease option. So we done a deal. We packaged it all up as one portfolio to make it easier, and we've passed it on to an investor.
That was brilliant. I was jealous of that when I saw that.
I'll give you the next one.
Thanks. It's not going to be as good as that one, though, is it? You're going to give me a rubbish one next?
No, I would never pack a rubbish deal.
Also, I mean, why don't you tell the guys a bit about obviously we've done a joint venture this week as well, which is, I believe it's your first service accommodation property.
It's my first service accommodation, but it's not your guys. But yeah, it's a joint venture with us to get a better source. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's even for me. Although it's not my first service accommodation, it is a little bit different in that in the past I've always sort of focused on city centres and either small rooms. Like we've got one that's obviously many ensuite rooms, kind of like I think it was an old B&B actually, or apartments.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is quite different because this is a whole house, well, a whole sort of cottage.
Yeah, it's a beautiful cottage.
3-bed. I haven't actually been to it. You've seen the pictures. Yeah. 3-bed house, and but what makes it really unusual, which is why I was a bit unsure about how it was going to go, is it's not in a city centre.
No,
it's quite, in fact, on the outskirts of a city centre.
Yeah, so it's just outside Oxford. It's in a little place called Woodstock. It literally, the house is here and Blenheim Palace is there. So the back wall of the garden is Blenheim Palace boundary. So it's a very good tourist destination. Now Blenheim Palace, I've actually spoke to them about this. They have around 1 million visitors a year who come to that palace.
That's quite a lot.
I think with service accommodation, it has to work either in city centre or it has to be near a really good tourist destination. So we've chose for the tourist destination. It's a really nice little village. And the property's beautiful. It's a really period Victorian sort of cottage. Really nice woodwork. It's stunning little.
So this went like when we obviously got this a little while ago. We spent a little bit of money doing it up.
Yeah.
This went live on Booking.com. It would have been yesterday.
5 o'clock
on Sunday
yeah.
for Tuesday. So tell everyone. I mean, because obviously, like I say, it was a little bit of an experiment in a way because we've never done anything outside of a city centre before. This is. How far? It's about 25 minutes from Oxford, isn't it?
Yeah, you can get into Oxford in about 20 minutes on public transport. So there's through Woodstock. It's the main road into Oxford, and you've got lots of buses and coaches going through. So like the main stagecoach goes through there. It's about 25 minutes.
So I wasn't convinced when you showed me the deal, and you were like, "What do you think?" And I wasn't convinced, but I thought it was worth taking a punt on it.
Yeah, 100%.
So we put it on Sunday night. How many hours did it take before we started getting bookings come through?
Do you know, it shocked me, it astounded me. So just on Sunday night alone, we took £2,200. So we've done 4 bookings, £2,200. Yesterday we've done another £860. So it's just gone nuts.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And we've actually had a guest who's moving in today. So
Now we got this on a rent-to-rent deal. Now I know in Samuel's video this week he talks a bit about rent-to-rent. He talks a bit about deal sourcing. In fact, why don't we hear a little clip from that now, and then we'll get our teeth stuck into that.
Yeah.
Okay, number one, and you can do this regardless if you have no money, regardless if you have no experience at the moment in property, whatever your situation, wherever you're from, whatever your colour, anybody can find a property deal. Go and view lots of properties with estate agents, or find properties on Gumtree or wherever. Go and view properties and put offers on. Find a property, negotiate the offer below the asking price, get it at a good price. Even kids can negotiate, kids can get a deal. Get a deal, and then when you have the deal, pass it on to somebody and charge a fee. Now, typically the fee that you might get could be £2,000, £3,000, £4,000. One of those a month, and you have replaced an average salary. You are now a professional, full-time property entrepreneur. And why can't you do that? You can. Anybody can do that. So that's number one. Second one is to find properties that are up for rent and find a way to increase the rent. You could cut it up and turn it into a HMO just by putting fire doors and smoke alarms in the property. Rent it off the landlord, and this is not subletting if it's done legally, it's called rent to rent. Rent it off the landlord and then put tenants in, and any profit that you make, you keep. You're not owning the property, you're controlling the property. Most successful companies at the moment, very big companies, Amazon, Uber. Uber don't own any cars, but you think of them as the biggest taxi company in the world. Airbnb, they don't own any properties, but they are one of the biggest hotel industries in the world, on the planet. So you can make serious money as a property entrepreneur with strategies like rent to rent, where you control the property, you don't own it, starting from scratch, making income as a property entrepreneur, starting with nothing. I mean, you know what, guys? It's just about being creative. It's just about taking action and implementation.
Okay, so Samuel was talking about sort of two main strategies there. He was talking about deal sourcing, he was talking about rent to rents. Now, the property we were just talking about near Oxford, obviously that was a rent to rent.
Yes, it was rent to rent.
So why don't you tell me a bit about how that came about?
Okay, so that came about because through my sourcing business, I'm always out looking at properties. I'm always out looking for leads, looking for deals. And I come across this little cottage. And the vendor, the owner, was actually a really nice guy. So we ended up agreeing a rent to rent on a service accommodation sort of short-term let basis, which I decided, do you know what? I'm going to take a punt on this and do it myself. I can't keep selling these deals and not put skin in the game myself. So we done it through Better Sourced as a joint venture with yourself and Samuel and myself. And we just, so it's been funded by my deal sourcing business. So Samuel talks in that video about two ways to make money in property. The first one is rent to rent, and the second one is deal sourcing and deal selling. So it's ironic that my deal selling business funded that rent to rent. So it shows you it works if you just put the effort in.
Now, a lot of people are interested in rent to rent because they don't have much money to start with. I mean, that deal there was, I think, was it about $3,000?
Yeah, so the total investment we've had so far is just over £3,000, and that was for builders. That was for paint and decoration, put a couple of carpets down, just do a bit of tarting up, basically.
So, if we just sort of back up and let's sort of explain, just in case anyone's listening and going, rent to rent, deal selling, what on earth's that?
What is that?
So, I mean, obviously, rent to rent is basically where so there's a landlord who's got a house and he's trying to rent it out, and he's trying to rent it out the traditional way. So, if we'll use this as an example, how much was he wanting for his house?
He was wanting £1,500 a month.
£1,500 a month for his house, which he would just rent it normally to a family who are going to live in it, right? So instead of him renting it out to them, he rents it to us, and then we rent it out again. So it's renting, so he's renting it to us, and then we are renting it out to someone else. Hence the name rent to rent, which is basically what it is. Now, the only way you're going to make money from a rent to rent, obviously, is if you're renting it out for considerably more than what you're paying for it. Now, you said he wanted $1,500. We're not paying £1,500 a month for it, are we?
No, we're not.
We're paying $1,250. So how did that come about?
That come about because I'm a super good negotiator. That's how that come about. Now, that come about because we fill a gap in the industry, in the sense of he's not going to have any void periods. We'll pay his rent every month guaranteed. We've gone in there and we've maintained and we've spent like $3,500 on his property. We've not asked him for that money. So we've basically offered him a guaranteed rent. We've offered to value up his property, make it nicer, and we've furnished it. And we've also told him that when we leave in 3 years' time, or when the contract finishes, we'll leave that furniture there. So I did negotiate a couple £100 off the rent every month. We also negotiated no deposit, so literally we don't have to pay for that until month 2 of the deal.
Now, a lot of people say with rent to rents that you're kind of taking advantage of the landlord because they're unaware of how much they could rent it out for. You're driving them down in price, knocking them down to 1,250, and then you're making all that, two grand a day or whatever it was that you rented out for the first day. When you're only paying him 1,200, it's kind of taking advantage of him. What would you answer to that?
Well, firstly, the sort of people that say that are idiots, in my opinion, right? Because at the end of the day, look, we didn't take advantage of anybody. We've not got some vulnerable old person that's got this house, they've had it for years, and we've gone in and hammered them down in price. Not at all. We've gone in there. The property's been empty for 6 months, so we've gone and see this guy. He's a stressed out landlord. He's got this house that he owns outright, and we've said to him, look, this is what we can offer you. We're prepared to do a deal for 3 or 4 years or 5 years, however long you want to do this deal for.
Yeah.
Can we negotiate on the rent a little bit? Now, it was actually him who said that he wanted $1,500 for it, and he said, look, he could get down to about $1,350. And I said, look, if we're going to spend all this money on your property, we're going to spend 4 or 5 grand, plus we're going to furnish it. So really, realistically, we're sort of 5.5 grand, 6 grand into this deal. That's his house. We're adding value to his house, and we're going to leave all of that there when we leave. We're going to leave it in great condition. We're going to pay him his rent every month on time. There's no way that's taken by it. We're taking.
Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm glad I didn't say it to you though, because then you'd have called me an idiot. But
no. I think the sort of people that say that, they'll find a reason and they'll find an excuse not to do anything. At the end of the day, as long as both parties are happy with the deal, then it's good.
I think rent to rent is a classic example of a serious win-win.
Yeah.
Because from your point of view, it's a great chance to make money from property, passive income from property even, which this will be. Yeah. Obviously, Quick Move are going to manage it.
Yeah,
so it's a passive income from property with putting 3 grand in.
Yeah, exactly.
And the return on investment is going to be crazy. Yeah. So from our point of view, it's brilliant. From his point of view, he doesn't want to do anything like that. All he wants to do is rent out his property. He's making a good passive income from it as well. And he doesn't want to worry about it. So we've got a 4-year agreement. Yeah. So he hasn't got to worry about anything. Yeah. He hasn't got to pay any management fees, which you'd normally have to pay. So yes, we've knocked him down 250 quid, but normally you'd have like 150 quid management fee. Of
course, yeah.
So he hasn't got any of that. He also has.
And he hasn't got to worry. Sorry, I interrupt you. And he hasn't got to worry about us trashing his property. We're not going to.
No.
And if we do, we'll put it right.
Yeah. You don't have any voids?
No voids.
So it is a real win-win. So what advice would you give to people that are listening to this and thinking, okay, well, Samuel obviously says rent to rents are really good.
Yeah.
I'm hearing about this example now. It sounds really good. What advice would you give to people to actually go and try and get some rent to rents right now? Look, I mean, obviously they could buy them through Better Sourced, but what else?
You could. Listen, right, you can buy them through a sourcing company. Obviously, we've got Better Sourced, which is a reputable, compliant sourcing company. Or you can just get out there and start looking at these deals.
Yeah.
You're not going to find them by sitting at home thinking about it. You're going to find them by speaking to landlords, by getting out there, by getting onto Gumtree, getting onto Open Rent, getting onto all these sites that advertise properties for rent and properties for sale. And get out there, get in front of the vendors, speak to them, learn, find out enough about them. I've got a very good trick. Whenever I speak to any vendor, I say hi, I introduce myself, and then I shut up. I let them talk. Most vendors will be very open with you and tell you their life story. So when you hear what their problems are, as long as you're helping them with their problems, you get a good deal.
Yeah.
But like I say, don't be unethical about it. It's got to be win-win. So please don't don't go into an old lady's house and hammer them down on a rent to rent, because look, that's not how we work.
Yeah. Now another thing Samuel touched on was he mentioned subletting is illegal.
Of course it is, yeah.
So what's the difference? Because I think one of the things that people are going to come up against when they go, I'm going to try and get this, and people are going to say to them, hey, isn't subletting illegal?
Well, yeah.
And they're going to go, probably not going to know, and they're going to go,
The thing is...
What would you...
the thing is with these people, okay, you got to educate yourself a little bit, right? Because yes, subletting is completely illegal. So education is key. Now,
So what's the
we
difference between
don't-
subletting and this?
Okay, so we have it on a management contract. So we are essentially a letting agent, and we are managing it on behalf of the vendor. So we don't have, so we're not like just taking a property and we're saying there's the property and we're going to rent it out to Tom, Dick and Harry. No, we are taking the property as a company and we're going to manage that property for them, and we're going to look after it on a short-term let basis. So it's done through a management contract. That's how we do it.
So in a way, you could argue the term rent to rent is a little bit misleading.
Technically, yeah, I would possibly say I agree with you.
Because I suppose you're not really renting it, are you?
No.
You're managing it for them, and
Yeah.
you're paying them, rather than, because normally when you manage a property, normally they pay you a percentage or whatever, or a fee to manage it. You're doing it the other way around. You're paying them a guaranteed fee, and then you're managing it for them on their behalf. So I suppose rent to rent, you could argue, was a little bit of a misleading term. But I hope that kind of clears it up for anyone that's thinking, oh, this sounds too good to be true. Is it illegal? It's not illegal.
No,
it's absolutely fine.
It's only illegal if you do it illegally. It's not illegal if you do it correctly.
Yeah.
But it's like anything, isn't it? So.
Sure. So did you approach this guy direct, or did you go through a letting agency, or how did you get hold of him?
Okay, so he was a Gumtree. He was on Gumtree.
Okay.
He was advertising the property on Gumtree for rent as a whole house, like say £1,500. It'd been on there for months, and I remember I emailed him several times, and it didn't just happen overnight. Okay, so I must have emailed him about 10 times. He initially wasn't that interested. After he'd been let down by numerous other people, and people had promised to rent it, and they failed credit checks and all sorts of stuff, he then come back and says, yeah, why don't you come over and view and let's have a coffee. So I went over and viewed, portrayed myself in a professional manner as I am, and look, just got the deal done, in my opinion. Yeah. Just got the deal done at the end of the day. Look, we weren't hard salesy, we weren't forcing him to do anything. We laid out on the table what we can offer.
Yeah.
Took him a few days to think about it. He came back and said, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Because for him, it's a win-win. We've gone in, we've decorated his house top to bottom at our expense, cost us like $3,500. We've furnished it, which cost us now a couple of grand.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So we actually didn't put in $3,000. It was more like $5,500.
About 5k, yeah.
Okay.
And we've like really brought his property up. Like he was in the middle of decorating the house, and we said, look, don't worry about it, we'll finish it. So do you know what I mean? He's got all this stress, he doesn't want it.
Yeah.
And we've really helped
So
him.
it really is a classic win-win.
Yes.
So if we move on to deal sourcing, obviously that was the other way that Samuel recommended it. Now, from a deal sourcing point of view, tell us a bit about what you do, so that so people know, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to deal sourcing.
Okay, so I run a company called Better Source Limited, and we are a deal packaging and selling company. So when I am out looking for investments for myself, I do come across lots of deals. They can vary from, for instance, this week we've sent out, I think, 5 or 6 deals to our database. And they vary from multi-lets, HMOs, to little below market value buy, refurbish, refinance deals, lease options, because I know you like that. We had a rent-to-rent last week, which was for a HMO. We've got a couple of rent-to-rents coming up in like very affluent areas as well. I'll speak to you about that in a minute.
Yeah, cool. Do that off camera. Don't want these guys hearing.
Yeah. No, I'm only joking. Nobody gets priority on my deals.
Apart from me.
But yeah, that's cool. So we've got lots of rent-to-rents and that coming up. Rent-to-rents are very popular at the minute because they're very low barrier to entry.
So how long have you been doing deal sourcing?
So about a year.
A year. Okay. And how much money did you make last month from deal
Typically, Better Source Limited makes between £25,000 and £30,000 a month.
Okay, so about 25 to 30k a month. Now, for most people, I mean, that's pretty good.
Well, that's a year's salary
in a month.
For most people, yeah.
In a month. So even if you did it I mean, Samuel talks in the video about just doing one a month, and that would replace your wage.
Yeah.
Do you think it'd be worth doing one a month if for the hassle involved? Do you think that's realistic?
That's a very good question actually, because I'm going to relate it back to me. Okay, so if I was to just do one deal a month with all the compliance and all the paperwork and because it's not a straightforward process. It is easy if you get on top of things from the beginning, but it's like any business, it needs setting up properly and you have to do it all correctly. Okay, so to do one a month and make sort of 2.5-3 grand, No. I would say you want to be doing a couple a month, just to make it a bit more profitable.
Yeah. He also says that kids could do it. Like, do you think a kid could negotiate a deal? Really?
I'll have to ask my 11-year-old that, see what she thinks.
Could you get her working for you?
Maybe I get her working.
See if she can seal some deals for you.
Yeah, get her sealing some deals, getting her out doing some
mean,
but no,
he might mean like a 17-year-old kid. Because
listen, I know people that are in their late teens that are doing this. I know, like John Rabel, for instance, he's not late teenager. He acts like a teenager, but he's actually a bit older than that. He's 21. He's out doing a bit of deal sourcing and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know what? It's not about your age. Your age shouldn't be a barrier. It's about your work ethic, and I think it's about your attitude. If your attitude stinks, I'm sorry, you ain't going to do well at anything.
Yeah.
If you've got a great attitude, it doesn't matter what people put on the table, you're going to make it work.
I mean, it is a brilliant business. So if you're going to go into it because your product costs you nothing.
Yeah.
It's free, and sells for £2,500, £3,000, £4,000, £5,000.
Yes.
So to have a product that only costs you time.
Hang about, man. You're gonna. I'm gonna have all these customers asking me for a discount now because they know all the profit margin.
Well, the profit margins is obvious, really.
Yeah, of course it is.
The profit margin's great. I'm not talking about the people that buy from you, because at the end of the day, I'd buy from a sourcer.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go and spend a few days looking for...
Let me put it into context here, okay? Now, as a deal sourcing company, we might look, roughly it's about 5% of what, so our conversion rate's 5%, roughly. Okay, so if I look at 20 houses, I might find one deal.
See, that sounds like a lot of hard work, doesn't it?
It is a lot of hard work. I went out about a month ago and I looked at 52 viewings in 1 week. And that week we had one before we left, so we found 3 deals by looking at 52 houses. So if you like hard work, I mean, yeah, you crack on, go and find the deals. But a lot of my investors that I deal with, they value their time so much more than 2 or 3
Yeah, well,
grand.
if you're working in a job or you're busy,
Yeah.
you know, then I can see why it's worth it. But from someone that's wanting to get into properties, if people listening to this are thinking, I want to get into deal sourcing.
Yeah.
I think it's a brilliant education because
Yeah.
you know, you're going out, you're viewing, you're meeting estate agents, you're making contacts. You can cherry pick the deals for yourself, like you did with the rent to rent. If it's something that works for you, but at the same time, you're making money while you're learning about property and embracing yourself and investing yourself in. The only thing that would sort of make me think is the compliance and the legalities of it, which obviously, you know, you've got to wear quickly, because I don't want to go too much into deal sourcing. But what are the basic compliance? If there's people here listening to this that think, yeah, I'd like to get into that, what are the kind of basic compliance things they're going to have to get in place?
Okay, as a compliant deal sourcer, you're going to have, there's 4 key things. There's property redress scheme.
Yeah.
So there's 2. You can join either a property redress scheme itself or the property ombudsman. I'm a member of the TPO. To be a member of them, you have to be insured. So you have to have public indemnity insurance. And also, I have public liability, and I also have employer's liability because I now have staff. So I have all insurances, plus you need vehicle insurance. Then you need data protection license, and you need to be registered with the anti-money laundering scheme through the HMRC website. Now, don't just think it's as simple as just buying them and paying the fees, and then that's it, you're compliant. Each step has its own steps. So, for instance, anti-money laundering license, you can buy it for £290, I think the fee is, but that's not the end of it. You then have to do your client due diligence. So if you come to me and say, Alasdair, I want to buy this deal off you, it's £200,000, and I'm going to say, yeah, great, no problem, Russell, let's get this done. We sell you the deal. I need to know that you are who you say you are. I need to know that you've got the money. I need to know where that money's come from. I need to know that you live where you say you live. I need to know that you're not wanted for fraud or anything like that.
Not yet, they haven't caught
Not
me.
yet, they haven't caught you. All right, okay. I'll just put a black tick next to your name in my database. But yeah, no, that's what I mean. So you've got to do your client due diligence. It's not just as simple as saying, yeah, I want a £3,000 fee for that, pay me £3,000 and then I'll introduce you. You've got to do a bit more in-depth details.
And I suppose the hardest part, well, I know it's the hardest part. The hardest part is being in a situation where you've got investors that are happy to actually buy from you, because if you're putting yourself out there, I mean, how many people just see on Facebook, oh, I've got this great deal, someone please buy it from me, and then like no comments, no likes, because like who the hell is so who the hell are they?
Yeah,
Why should I give them £3,000?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the biggest thing with being a deal sourcer is reputation. I think that's more important than anything else. I think that's more important. You've got to be a good guy. If you're a douchebag, I'm sorry, you ain't going to sell much.
Now, here's a question for you. Because the problem is that finding the deals, I know you say it's hard work, but I would say that was maybe like 25%, if that.
Potentially, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The hardest bit is being compliant, having investors, running a business.
I'm sort of with you on there. The deals, I would not worry about the deals until you've worried about everything else, because the deals are easier to find. They're not the hardest. The hardest bit for me, right, is remaining compliant.
Yeah.
It's keeping the investors up to date and keeping the investors happy and building that investors list. That's harder than anything. It's a business.
It's a business at the end of the day. It's not just a case of what about if someone came to you and said, look, I will find you these deals and I want X for the deals, and then you can sell them to your list. What would you say to that?
Bluntly, I'd say jog on.
Would you?
Yeah.
Why?
I get this question a lot.
Do you?
I get people email me a lot about this. They say, Alasdair, we've got this really cracking deal.
Yeah.
We want 50% of the sourcing fee. And I'm like, do you know what? I'm not going to give you 50% because I'm doing all the work. I'm the one. Okay, you've got to understand.
Okay. So is your issue here, because you've got a lead here, because you've already done all the other stuff.
Yeah.
All you're having to do is send an email out to your database and sell it, right?
Yeah.
So is the issue the 50%, or is the issue?
Two issues.
Okay. Go on.
50%, yeah, that's one of them.
So if they said 20%.
Oh yeah, I'd be more interested.
Okay, right.
But I'm still not going to sell it straight away. The reason being is because I don't know what training that person's had. I don't know what
You'd
experience
have to look at it and make
I
sure
need to know that what they actually know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I have had people come on board, come to me and say, look, can you sell this deal for me? And I've said, yeah, no problem, I'll sell it to you. I'll sell it for you, and then we'll take a cut. The problem is, they're not, like, I have specific criteria I look for. And yes, I can pass that criteria on to these people, but when a lot of these deal sources, the reason they come to me is because they're not compliant. The reason they come to me is because they've not got investors. The reason they come to me is because they can't sell a deal. Now, I'm not interested in earning a quick buck. I'm really not. So I'm not interested in making a quick £2,000-3,000 for a sourcing fee. I'd rather make sure the deal's done properly, that customer's happy, so that customer comes back and back and back to me. And they buy 10 deals, 15 deals off me, not just one deal. And if it means I've got to say no to this deal because I've not done my due diligence on it, then I will, and I'll pass up on it. If I've got time to either myself or send Max to go and look at it, we'll go and look at it and take it from there. But
so potentially you could be interested if you built up a good relationship with someone. Yeah. And if it could be something that you could be interested in potentially. I'm not suggesting people contact you, by the way, but I'm just.
Let me tell you, okay. Yeah. Let me tell you a case in point. I got an email the other day from some random person. I don't know who they are. I've never met them. I don't even recognise the name. And it just said, "Hi, Alasdair. I have this deal that is 30% ROI. Do you want it?" They didn't sign off with regards. They didn't. Literally, that was it. They don't even get my attention. I just delete. I'm not interested in dealing with them. So to me, it's about rapport, and it's about me getting to know them. Yeah. Getting to know that they're good at what they're doing. And if they're good at what they're doing, I'll happily work with them. I work with Paul and Anne, for instance.
Yeah, so Paul and Anne, great example. In fact, Samuel invited Paul and Anne to his home. He sat them down, he's done a little interview with them. Let's have a little listen to what they've got to say right now.
And within your first 12 months, how many deals did you do?
In the first 12 months, it was more like 40.
40 deals? Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's just over 40.
That's just over 40. Yeah. Man, I mean, I couldn't even keep up because I'd see you one month and you'd be like, oh, we've done 19 deals now. I'd be like, amazing. And of course, I can see what deals you're doing because you're selling your deals through our company. So I can see what you're doing. And then next month I'd see you'd say, oh, it's 26 now, and now it's 30, now it's so over 40 deals.
I think it's 43 now.
Why don't you tell me about the last 2 deals that you've done?
The last 2 properties we've bought have both needed work, they both needed refurbs. Yeah. So we got them below market value. The first one, we bridged the actual purchase price of it. With the money we got from sourcing, we financed the refurb on it. The second one, we bridged for the purchase price of it. And we've got an angel investor who's invested the money to do the fixing up on that one, so that's not cost us any money whatsoever.
Yeah.
The first one we've already refinanced. We're just waiting for the money to come through. But
Do you mind if I ask you some specific questions about the finances, so we can really look at the case study and go into the figures?
Yeah.
Because I know some of the YouTube listeners they really like to get down to the nitty gritty of the detail. Is that all right?
Yes.
So the first house then that you did out of the ones you've done recently, out of these two, they're in Grimsby, right?
They are, yeah.
And you guys love Grimsby.
We do, yeah.
Yeah. So the first one, how much did you buy the house for?
57,000.
57. And you borrowed the money from a bridging company to do that?
Yes.
So how much did the bridging company lend you to buy it?
100%.
100%.
Well, 100%. So you bought it for 57,
Yeah.
and the bridging company gave you 100% of the money.
Because it was below market value.
Because it was below, what was the value of the house?
It's roughly 25% below market value.
So you bought it for 57 and it was worth, what, like 65?
65, yeah.
Something like that. Okay. So you bought it for 57, you borrowed all of the money from a bridging company.
Yeah.
How much did the bridging company charge you?
The fees on that,
Yeah, we don't have to pay any monthly payments on that. It's when.
Yeah, but they're setting it up and everything.
All right, they'll charge you a small fee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so they'll charge you a small fee, maybe 2% or something like
Yeah.
that. So if they lent you all the money, then you did a refurb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did the refurb take?
10 weeks.
And how much did it cost?
15,000
15,000. And how did you pay for that?
with the money.
Sourcing money.
The sourcing money.
The sourcing money that you'd be making from sourcing
That's-
deals. All right, so 15 grand you put in of your own money that you'd made from sourcing deals.
Yeah.
Fantastic. 15 grand, it took 10 weeks. And then now you've just refinanced it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you bought it for 57 and you spent 15, that means 72 was the total
It was,
amount
Yeah.
that you put in, even though you didn't put it in, you got bridging. How much have you managed to refinance it up to?
90,000.
90,000, which is incredible. That really is incredible.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. So, and it's been valued. They've said, yep, you can do a refinance at 90.
Yeah.
So you're waiting on the money to come in,
Yeah.
which will mean that you'll be able to pull out how much money?
We'll end up with £6,000 left in the deal.
Cool. So basically, all said and done, including all the different figures, you're left with 6k of your own money in the deal,
Up in the house.
and you're going to rent the house out for about 550.
It's already rented out.
rented
How much
out.
for?
550.
550.
That's incredible. Fantastic.
So that was, as you've just seen, that was a great video. Paul and Anne have successfully sold like 40, I think it's 43 deals.
It's crazy.
It's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts.
So someone like that you know, that you trust. So I suppose if someone's wanting to get into deal sourcing,
Yeah.
they've either got to go the whole hog, become compliant, build their brand, or they can team up with. There's lots of. I mean, obviously, it sounds like you're quite hard to deal with, but there's lots of deal sources out there.
Listen, I'm not hard to deal with, I just have high standards.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good.
good, yeah,
we all like high standards, but they can get in with some sort of deal sourcer.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get a message Alasdair, put your name at the bottom.
Sign off properly. Put your phone number, for God's sake.
Put your phone number, name, write him a nice little message, butter him up a bit, tell him you love his Scottish accent. I don't know. Okay, so now it's time for this. It's property investing news time. In the news this week, Premier Inn have unveiled a no-frills hotel brand with pod-style rooms. So I'll just read you a little bit of the article to give you an idea what it's about. So Premier Inn, Premier Inn's owner, Whitbread, is that right? Whitbread?
Yeah, Whitbread, yeah.
Yeah, is launching a no-frills hotel chain with small pod-style rooms as the company seeks to refocus its business after the sale of its cafe chain Costa Coffee to Coca-Cola. Called Zip by Premier Inn. I quite like that, Zip by Premier Inn.
Yeah.
The new hotels will be located on the outskirts of major towns and cities. I imagine that's because it's slightly cheaper for them to buy.
Yeah, land and the buildings will be cheaper.
Rooms will cost from £19 a night, and they're less than half the size of a standard Premier Inn style room at 8.5 square metres. What's that in
That's
feet?
quite big, actually. That's like 8.5 square feet. Well, if you take a HMO licensing, the HMO licensing's got to be 7.5 square meters, which is 70 square feet.
Is it 6.5?
HMO license in 6.5 square meters, which is 70 square feet.
So it's bigger than that.
So
That does include a bathroom though.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably the same sort of size. In fact, there's pictures of it here. So basically, you've got like
is
a
that a
little
single bed or is that double?
It's a single.
Yeah, that's
It's
alright.
But I think they've got, because there's another picture here, and I think they've got 2 singles, but they do look a little bit like carrot. There you go.
Do you know, when I saw that, I actually thought it was a camper van. And
Yeah.
that was your 2 beds, and then you were looking out of the front windscreen.
It does look a bit like that.
Yeah.
It does look a bit like a.
But look, I mean, I'm not. I
It
don't
looks
know.
nice though.
I
It
don't know
looks
if I'm-
clean. Looks fresh. I mean, here's a question. Right. So, what is this going to do? First of all, would you stay there? Would you stay in a room?
I'm
that
a
was
fan
19
of
quid?
Premier Inn, to be honest. Whenever I'm travelling around, whenever I'm out travelling around the country looking at houses, I always try and find a Premier Inn. The reason being is because you know they're clean. They're always the same and they're always clean. And there's generally one in every city.
It's funny you say that. They're always the same, because I think people like stuff that's always the same. That's why the brands are so big. I mean, a lot of people that you hear a lot of people that say, "Oh, I like to try something different and fit in." But I'm the same as you. I always like something the same.
But I think it's familiarity. You want something you know. So when you've had a long day out in the road or you've been out looking at lots of property, you want to know that wherever you book is going to be good.
Yeah.
It's not going to be some dump that like the hotel that I stayed in the other night. I won't name it, but
Go on, name it.
so so it was the Britannia in Wolverhampton. It wasn't expensive. It was about £35 a night, but it was.
It wasn't expensive. That's almost worse. I suppose it's twice as expensive as this is going to be.
Yeah.
So
but,
yeah, true. Yeah.
It was not pleasant. It stunk. It smelled like a public toilet, to be honest.
Really?
I nearly actually left halfway through the night and just slept in my car, but I didn't in the end. But
Did you really?
I nearly left. I didn't leave.
You thought about sleeping in your car?
I thought about going to sleep in my car because I thought it'd be a lot nicer. And
crazy.
But, so that's why I always look for Premier Inn, because listen, when you've been out on the road all day looking at 10, 15 houses over a couple of day period, you're tired. You want to know that the Wi-Fi is going to work. You want to know the bed sheets have been cleaned that week. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I do the same, but not for Premier Inn.
No, okay. Where do you stay?
Hilton.
Hilton. Oh, yeah.
I'm only joking. I do sometimes. No, to be fair, yeah, pretty much just Hilton.
Yeah.
But no. So what do you reckon? £19 a night. You like Premier Inn. You're a big
Yeah.
fan of Premier Inn. Would you stay at Zip by Premier Inn?
I probably would. Yeah, I probably would.
It looks. To be fair, for me, if I'm travelling for work and I'm literally just sleep, because often when you're travelling for work, you just sleep there, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
You arrive at 10 o'clock at night. You sleep there. I'll be looking at it. It does look a bit like a caravan.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
I think what do people?
But it's got an ensuite. It looks all right.
When people are traveling for business, what do they want? What would you, when you're traveling for business, what are you really looking for? You're looking for someone that's clean, someone that's comfortable, someone that's got Wi-Fi, and somewhere where you can go and get your head down. You're not looking
Yeah.
for luxury because you're not there with your family. You're looking for just basics. Like, as long as it's nice, comfortable.
I do like swimming pools.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get that at £19 a night, mate. I really don't.
No.
I mean, think about it. If
Jacuzzi.
Premier Inn put a swimming pool in every Zip sort of location, that's probably 50 bedrooms you could get in that swimming pool.
So what do you think about it from a business model point of view? So, if you were doing service accommodation,
I'd be worried.
would you?
Yeah.
Would you consider going down this route? See, the thing about service accommodation is they don't have any restrictions, minimum room sizes.
Yeah.
Would you? But this is my point though. Would you know when people say about not providing en suites?
Mm-hmm.
Even this is an ensuite,
Yeah.
and it's 19 quid a night.
Yeah.
You have to have an ensuite, in my
I think
opinion.
you have to have one.
You have to have an ensuite. You're not going to be able to compete. Now, you might get away with it to a degree for things like builders and stuff right now.
Yeah.
But as soon as this starts coming in,
when they start rolling that out, I think I'm a little bit concerned about what the impact on service accommodation is going to have. So if you imagine these start rocking up in all the big cities in the UK where service accommodation is like really good,
yeah,
you're going to start getting people wanting to stay in them instead of booking SAs.
yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
I think it's coming to Cardiff. I don't think it says in this article, but I was looking. It's coming to Cardiff next year.
And then I did see Southampton as well.
Yeah, and then Southampton. So I mean, it's nowhere near where we are at the moment.
I wonder, like, it does say costs from £19 a night. I wonder what that's actually for. If that's for like,
I imagine
you know
what
what I
it,
mean?
I imagine what it will be. Do you know how like Travelodge says 29 quid a night? But then
Yeah.
when you go to book on, it's more like
60 quid, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking. If that's £19 a night for crisp, like one random day in the middle of like, I don't
If
know.
you book 6 months in advance
Yeah.
with a no
So
refund policy.
if most people book SA, especially if they're business, on the day or the day before they're
It's
actually
true.
travelling there.
It's true.
So I wonder if it's more likely going to be 60, 70 pounds.
That's
or
true.
80
Probably will be. We'll wait and see. But what I'm thinking is it worth trying to copy that model in your own properties? Is it worth going for the budget, or do you think it's better to see? I don't really, and not just for service accommodation. Now I'm talking for everything. I don't really like going for the budget, because the problem with the budget is your profit tends to be lower.
Well, yeah.
And what you're doing is that you're trying to get bulk numbers as opposed to making profit off it. I would rather have a nicer room that you paid more for, had less rooms, had more space, and made more money. But I don't know.
I think with anything low end, anything budget, you're always going with the cheapskates.
Yeah.
So you're always going with people that want the cheapest room, the cheapest, and they want everything for the cheap. So they want maximum value, but for the cheapest price.
Yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of the problems will occur, because I hope they don't, but they'll probably get complaints because somebody will stay there for £19 a night and they'll complain that the bed was too hard, or it's just ridiculous, really. But you get what you pay for, I believe. So I'm with you. I'd rather go a little bit more expensive, go high end, and attract better quality.
I'm certainly interested in trying it though. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll have a keep an eye on it and see if it does make any difference.
The whole pod type business though is coming up. If you look in London, it's like I saw one in Hampstead Heath where the lady converted like a 6-bedroom house into a pod style, but she was selling them as they weren't on a nightly basis or on a monthly basis, and she was getting like £2,500 a month for these little pods.
Wow.
It's ridiculous, and the thing's tiny.
Maybe in London, pods are the way to go.
Well, space, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's space. People haven't got the space.
Maybe. Very interesting. In other news, I noticed something that you found particularly interesting.
Yeah, so what I find interesting is there's been a drop of 10% of young people wanting to own property.
Is this wanting to own or able to own?
Possibly a bit of able. I'm not sure really, but really...
Well, shall we look at the article?
Yeah.
So this is on Select Property Group's website. It's quite a long article, but this is the summary right here. So basically, here's summary boils down to this. The number of young people buying and owning property in the UK has significantly fallen since 2008, so the last 10 years.
Yeah.
New figures estimate a 10% reduction in 22 to 29-year-olds owning a home in Britain in the last 10 years, with affordability issues in addition to a rising preference towards an experience-led lifestyle. This shift highlights the emphasis placed on the rental market and the need for increased level of investment. So from a landlord's point of view, this is obviously pretty good, because more people are renting, less people are buying.
So, what does that tell you about young people, though? In a nutshell, if you had to sum that article up in a nutshell, like 2 or 3 words, what would that tell you about young people?
It would tell me that young people are preferring to spend their money on fun rather than invest.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I got from that article.
Although, do you know what I like about that article? Do you know that I'm in the young person age bracket?
Great.
Yeah.
How old are you then?
29.
29, okay. So are you technically a millennial?
Well, I was born in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
So I probably
So you're not a millennial then?
Probably not, no.
No, okay. But look, what I took away from that article is like young people are more interested in, it appears, of living the lifestyle, like it says there, doesn't it? With affordability issues, in addition to rise in preference towards experience-led living. So it looks like they're all.
Do you think that there's anything wrong with experience-led living?
No, I don't. No, not at all. But
see, I think it's a balance. The problem is that kind of the old school way of thinking is save it up, put it in the bank, and then look forward to retirement.
Yeah.
Now I don't agree with that, because at the end of the day, we're living now.
Yeah.
And you want to have a good lifestyle now, and you want to, but. So it's supposed to be getting a balance between that and then not being smart and investing. Because if they're just renting, you could, and not investing, it's dead money.
Yeah, I do think so. Now, I speak to a lot of people of that age group, and a lot of what I'm getting back is they just can't afford to buy houses because they can't raise the deposit money, because house prices have gone up ridiculously in the last 10, 15 years.
Here's the question, though. These people coming through, these 22 to 29-year-olds, are they going to start buying in the next 10 years?
Well,
or are we going to have 32 to 20,
No.
39-year-olds not buying
I
either.
remember reading an article a few weeks back, and it said the average age of the first-time buyer was like 34 years old. So I think it's moved
old,
on.
isn't it?
It's
What?
not old.
It is 34. It's well old. It's old,
Yeah.
isn't it, Nick? Nick's nodding.
Yeah, I feel so old when I come and meet you guys. Anyway, but yeah, so the average age is 34 years old. So I think what's happening is the younger generation, so 20 to 29-year-old, they're focusing more on careers. They're not so much like if you go back to like the 60s and 70s, where the female of the partnership, they'd be at home with the child, the children, they'd be being the mother figure. Now
Telly's old.
women are, back in the day, women are now more sort of career driven than they ever have been, I think, which is it's awesome, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm all for that, so it's really good. But I think the career comes before necessarily raising a family and also home ownership, because sometimes.
But I don't quite understand what you're saying, because surely if you've got a career,
Yeah.
then you're earning more money.
Yeah. Okay. So like.
So
say,
then you can afford to buy a house.
So say
I understand your point.
you're a young person living in, I don't know, out in the back end of Lincolnshire, right? And you want to maximise your career.
Right.
So you're going to move to a city where you can maximise that career. So for instance, you're going to move into like Nottingham, where you can maximise that career, because you'll get a good career in Lincolnshire or on the outskirts or the countryside or something like that.
Yeah.
So you're going to move to. I'm getting there, right?
Okay.
So
yeah.
then you're going to move to the cities where you can get higher income, you can get higher wages, higher salary. But obviously, buying a house in the cities is more expensive.
Okay.
You don't agree?
Well, it doesn't mention on here that the problem is that no one lives in the country anymore and everyone's living in the cities. I don't understand.
Right.
your
Okay.
point.
Affordability is ridiculous because house prices are high and people are more focused on their career.
But if house prices are high, why are we seeing in our academy and in our training 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds getting on the market? See, I don't believe that it's that. I know that all the stats say it and everything, and everyone says they can't afford it.
So
I don't believe they can't afford
What
it.
is the average house price in the UK? It's about 200k, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
I
about 200k.
believe they couldn't afford a house to live in.
Yeah.
If they want to live in a 200 grand house.
Okay, no, back up. Are we talking about somebody's home or are we talking about an investment?
Well, we're talking about owning property.
Right, okay, so let's take it from an investment point of view. I mean, you can buy houses all over the country, particularly up north, for under 100k.
You can buy a property for 40k.
Exactly. I bought a property for an investor for £41,000 about 6 months ago. So
Right.
for that, you need a £10,000 deposit. So yeah, raising 10 grand is no problem.
No.
When you talk about people that are looking to buy houses to live in themselves, and say, for instance, they're in the south or in the Midlands or whatever, and the property prices are £200,000 plus,
Yeah.
you then start needing a bigger deposit.
Okay, so the problem then isn't that house prices are too expensive. It's that everyone's looking at buying their own property rather than investing, which then comes back to the point is, should you own your own home? I don't own my own home. I rent where I live because I want to live in a really expensive house.
Yeah, I get
And
that.
it's cheaper to rent it than it is to pay a mortgage on it, and then I use the money to buy investment properties instead.
That cover your rental. Yeah,
So-
I'm with that, to be
And
honest.
I'm young, I'm in this bracket. So
I know.
maybe I couldn't afford to live in my house.
You keep saying you're in that bracket. You've said it about 3 times
Yeah,
now.
well, I am in the bracket.
Just, not for much longer.
It's interesting though. It's interesting that new people growing up are stopping investing in property.
Yeah.
Which means, from a landlord's point of view, from our point of view, there's more people that want homes.
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
providing more of a service, and it also means that. What else does it mean? I'm sure it means something else. What I was
Well,
going to say.
if there's more people wanting our properties, it's going to push demand up for rental properties. So as landlords, yes, we love it because people are going to want to rent our houses quicker. People are going to want to rent our rooms quicker. Certainly with my HMOs, what I'm seeing is the people that are renting them are working professionals. They're people that have come to the city to work. They're there purely to work. So for instance, the property in Wolverhampton, the people are coming in to work in Wolverhampton and then they go home every now and again. Or they go back to their family home, shall we say. So they can't possibly afford to move into Wolverhampton, or they don't want to move into Wolverhampton.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how if this trend continues or what goes on with it.
I mean, it could just be because most young people just want to
Party it
go
up.
out and have fun, which is awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. I love a good old party, but
No, you don't. You're the sort of person that would be in your slippers, in your dressing gown at 9 p.m.
Man, I'm 35.
You were
Not
36.
50. I am 36. I was trying to make it sound good. I don't want to get over that 35 barrier. It's closer to 40, isn't it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But my point being is...
I'm 20s, you're nearly 40. We get it. All right, end of conversation.
No. So my point being is, look, I think a lot of youngsters nowadays are more about living for the moment.
Yeah.
Certainly, I see it with people I know of that age.
So I would say to any young people out there, yes, live in the moment.
Yeah.
Yes, that's fine. But it is a bit of a worrying trend.
Yeah.
And
I also think, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah,
Another
yeah,
thing,
you cut off my
sorry,
lovely worded conclusion.
It was going to be brilliant there, but I'm just going to cut them off. Right. Another thing I think a lot of youngsters, all they keep hearing about, like you, all they keep hearing about is how they'll never afford a home. They'll never afford it.
True.
Right. And I think if somebody keeps telling you something, I think you just naturally give up on it. So if they, every time they look online or every time the freaking Radio 1 news comes on or whatever, and it says the house prices are going up, youngsters, generation rent, all this sort of stuff, it's embedded in their head that they're never going to be able to afford it, so anyway, let's just go out and party.
Do you know what? I think that is a damn good point.
I think it's a really good point. I think it's probably the best point made of today. From an old boy.
No, I think that is a damn good point because it's true. When you keep telling yourself something, you believe it. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, when you see other people, you're like, oh, well, no one's buying a house. Oh, it's okay not to. It's not okay. It's okay. Truth is, it's not okay. Well, it is okay, I suppose. But if it was me, if it was my children, I would be encouraging them like crazy to get on the housing market. And if you can't afford to buy a house you want to live in, that doesn't matter. Buy another house
and rent it out.
Get on the ladder. Property. We know this. It doubles approximately every 10 years. Mm-hmm. Get on the ladder. Get in it. Don't make excuses and don't just accept the fact that houses are too expensive because they're not.
No, I completely agree with that. 100%.
So we really appreciate you taking the time to listen or watch this podcast. We'll be back same time next week. And if you've got any questions that you want us to answer or any subjects that you'd like us to cover, please send those to podcast@samuelleeds.com and we'll try and answer as many questions and cover as many topics as we can. I've been Russell Leeds.
I've been Alasdair Cunningham.
And we'll see you next week.
See you later.
Bye. Just get the last word in.
Bye.